I'm
Oh,
just,
okay.
all right, you're good to go?
Yep.
Excellent. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talk to Danielle podcast. I am your host, Danielle C. Baker. And before we start on today's topic, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to whichever channel you're listening or watching from. And today, for those who listen to the podcast regularly, you'll know I have an amazing guest coming on. I'm always have amazing guests. I'm really excited about this one because we kind of started our journey together in RTT, and I'm not going to go into details into RTT. I will let her do that. So today I have the lovely Eunice O'Neill with me. Thank you so much, Eunice, for joining me today.
Thank you, Danielle. Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited because I get to see the progress and the journey that you're doing with what we started kind of training together. And I absolutely love the work that you do. But before we start with the work that you do, can you tell us a little bit about your story and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It seems like eons ago now. Yeah, doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, during COVID, we all, if we can remember back then, I started to think, what is life all about? Like, is it about working and literally just, melting into the grave? And then I heard a podcast with Lewis Howes. I was listening to a lot of Lewis Howes that time, and he was interviewing Bob Proctor, and Bob Proctor, who's, what he's passed now, but who had Proctor Gallagher Institute, he talked about working into, he at the time was 86 years old.
Yeah.
And he said he wanted to work until he passed away. And I was like, what? Like, it kind of stunned me. And then I thought, yeah, that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it just got me thinking a little bit further. So that was in the spring of 2020. And then Lewis had Marissa Peer on, and she talked about RTT. And I thought, wow, okay, maybe that's what I'm meant to be doing. And I did have this voice inside me. We all have it, I've learned now, and I'll talk about it later. But it was saying to me, you're meant to be doing something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what that was. So I signed up for Marissa Peer, and literally a month after I signed up, I was a manager. I managed a team of salespeople, and I'd been working for the company. It was a beautiful company, wonderful company. And I'd been in this industry around dogs and cats for 17 years. And wow. I had signed up for Marissa's course, started the online course as we all did during COVID. You couldn't go anywhere. And in August, I got the call from my HR department. And it was the dreaded call that you get. Hopefully not everybody gets it, but it actually was my wake-up call. And it was a way to say, hey, you aren't listening to the voice inside you. Therefore, you're not listening to your team. You're not able to hear any of them. And they had actually gone to HR and said, she's not listening to us. I needed to be banged on the head, to be honest. And it got me thinking, and it got me to say, hey, I'm hearing them, but now I'm hearing that voice inside me, and I need to pursue that voice inside me. So I look at what they did as a total gift. They gave me a gift to say, listen to the voice inside you. You're meant to be doing way more than you're doing. Go full-time in your training on the RTT and see what happens in your life.
Yeah, and it's true when you say there's quite a few people who go through that, and it's hard sometimes to accept it. But I had something similar too with my work, where I was going through a professional burnout, and I was completely blind to it. It was the team that's like, you need some time off,
Yeah.
And I had to basically completely burn out to get that wake up call. And that's when I realized that I did have an impact on the team. And we'll talk about a little bit about that as well, because it's interesting that the last few people that I've interviewed, it was the same thing. There's in management. And it's not just company wise, but in your own life, if you're not in tune with what's happening with you, you're completely out of balance, and it's important to yeah, so you had that defining moment where it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
this isn't working for me, I need to go. How did you find, and this is where it gets kind of personal for both of us because we all have our stories, but how did you find that RTT, for those who don't know, RTT is rapid transformational therapy, designed by Marissa Peer, and what impact has that had on you personally and professionally as well?
Well, I mean, a lot. It's taught me,
Yeah.
it's taught me that number one, you can have hope, that you don't always have to have these beliefs that aren't serving you, that you can do something about them. You don't have to be on medication forever. You know, and it's okay. It's
Yeah.
you should, well, I stopped feeling shameful that I had things I needed to work on. And I started thinking, especially seeing my own clients go through just letting down and letting go of things, I thought, wow, that's okay. It's okay that we're not all perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And why not try something like RTT to get in and figure out what are the beliefs not serving us? And I have to say, it wasn't until I went to, I went to an RTT session with Natalie Ryan Hebert, who is like phenomenal at RTT. And I said, I'm going to go to the best. And I remember going to her and saying, I don't think I have anything to work on. And she looked at me and she said, oh, Eunice, it's okay if you have things to work on. She said, you may, I said to her, I don't have any blocks. And she said that it's okay to have blocks. She said, you're going to have blocks through the rest of your life, but think of it as you're shedding skin, you're shedding old skin. So it made me feel more comfortable and more accepting of myself, that
Yeah.
it wasn't the end of the world, that I wasn't perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the biggest challenge for a lot of us, that fear of showing a weakness, maybe, as we could see that as a weakness or failure.
Yeah.
So to have somebody that's just like, we all have our moments, it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's done fast. Like you said, it doesn't have to be a permanent issue. You can work through it really fast.
That's exactly it.
Wonderful. Yeah. You used, well, I guess we could jump right into it now with this wonderful program that you designed with RTT being the foundation of it. Working, it's called Epic Encore. Can you tell us a little bit about the program?
Well, I learned that I'm capitalizing on our good feelings. And I thought, I used to love when you'd be at a concert and the band would have gone off the stage and everybody is just like in this, come back out, sing, and I'd sit there and go, please sing my favorite song. And you'd all be cheering. And then they'd come out for the encore and it would be epic. And I always just felt like, oh my God, this is phenomenal. I love this. So that's what got me to come up with the name Epic Encore. And I also thought, I am at the age of, do I retire or do I, continue to work, do my purpose? And I thought about it. I thought, wow, I want to have an epic encore in my life. And then I realized you can have more than just one epic encore. So I created something that anybody who's been through what I've been going through, and I happen to be focusing on C-suite people and middle management, just because I know them. I know just I was one, but I realized there's so much that I learned going through what I went through, and that I can help them get through and not hit all the potholes along the way, if you will. And so Epic Encore, the basis is RTT. First, they come in and see, because kind of what I alluded to, we have this voice inside of us. It's innate. And I'm not religious. I'm just saying that we're part of the divine operation, whether, we want to think of it or not. And the divine is always for our expansion and further expression. So that expansion and further expression is just that innate voice inside of us. It's in all of us that most of the time we ignore, that's saying, hey, you need to be doing way more. So what happens is once you've been through an event like what we've been through, where our teams woke us up and said, hey, we immediately go, oh my God, I'm a failure. I failed. I am, I can't believe I couldn't do that. I can't believe they feel that way about me. So that belief and that feeling goes toe to toe with the innate belief that says, hey, you're meant to be doing something bigger. And what it causes is we get stuck, because you're just like these two forces, very big forces, are pushing against each other. And you're like a dead deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
And so I go in with RTT to get them in to weed out what's that beliefs that's causing them to go toe to toe with the actual inner voice. And that inner voice is the true voice. Always listen to that, because it's right on all the time. So let's get in and weed out that belief that you're a failure, that you couldn't do your job, because there's a lot more behind it, as you and I know with RTT. Could have been something we picked up as a kid that exacerbates that feeling of failure. So we go in, relieve them of that feeling, of that belief that's not serving them, and get them to capitalize on the voice that's saying you're way more than you're meant to be. So that's how I make RTT the foundation for Epic Encore. And then I have 4 modules that they take themselves through in 4 weeks. And I make it 4 weeks because I want them to be just getting that momentum going, so that they don't fall back, and go back into any of those beliefs that aren't serving them. So the first module is they go in and calm that mind again, bring it to a point where it's like a beautiful white canvas where they can design their Epic Encore. And then they do another RTT session around abundance, because I found with, I'd say almost 100% of my clients, they had a lack mentality. And if you're going to live your Epic Encore, you have to be in that abundance mentality, into that mindset. And it helps, like when oh my gosh, we do sessions, masterminds after the session. And it's fun to watch people say, wow, I didn't realize I had a lack mindset.
Yeah.
So, and then the third module is they go in and set up what I call gems. They set up their blueprint to go forward. And the gems are gratitude every day, writing down 10 things they're grateful for, exercise, which I think is super important for the mind, mental, which is they're going in and writing out their goals. They're really meditating to keep that mental space free. And then the S is the soul. They're feeding their soul by reading, like we read from Thomas Troward, from James Allen books, and we're just studying to literally fill their soul. And so they do that. And then the last module is around, okay, all these, you built this beautiful blueprint. Now, how do you put it into action? Because it's hard sometimes to put into action things. So I just give them an easy way to do 3 actions each day, and then it just gains momentum from there. So the program is just a month long, and they come out of it feeling like they got the tools that they can use forever.
Yeah, that's what I like about the program, is a lot of programs that are out there, and I mean they're great programs as well, but they give you a lot of theory, resources, tools, but then they let you go and you're like, okay, now what? You'll use them maybe for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, then you just go back into the old habits. So the fact that you're just kind of walking them through at the end and say, okay, let's make sure you got this down pack, I think is great. Yeah. And I can see that being also not just for people who, like me, who hit a wall or hit rock bottom to do something about it, but just somebody in general who's thinking, I should be doing better, or they're afraid that they're going to get to that, they're going to get that call, or they're going to get to that level. See, why not get a head start and just get your momentum going even better? So I think that's wonderful. Yeah. Now, can you share with us a little bit of the transformation? Because I believe this is the second year that you're doing the Epic. So the transformations that you've seen from your first wave, can you share some of them, like how they progressed?
Oh my gosh, like one of my favorites was and I'm working with them right now, as I had a client who said to me, you know what, the most powerful thing you taught me is I no longer jump on the train when I know that that train is not the train I'm supposed to be on. And he said, I wait on the platform and I say to myself, okay, is that going to elevate your energy, or is that going to, weight or wings is what I always say. Is it going to give me weight, or is it going to give me wings? The other thing is, they love coming out of RTT and figuring out where and how and when they got their belief. Like, that's my favorite. Honestly, that's been my favorite part of everything, is watching the relief come over their, they can't believe that they've sorted it out. And then it's that easy, and they don't have to be in therapy for years on end.
Exactly.
So, and then just giving them that blueprint and having somebody there weekly to hold their feet to the fire and to say, hey, I'm going to be the strong one here. I know what you're going through, but you need me to push on you a little bit this week because of X, Y, or Z. And we meet weekly. We have a mastermind every week, and everybody gets to hear each other's wins and what's going on for them. And also, their struggles, and be able to empathize with each other and build that energy around, hey, I'm going to be living my heart's desire. I am living my heart's desire, and I am listening to that inner voice now. So that's another thing that I learned in the last 2 years, is always hire an expert to get you going in the path that you want to get going in. I never had a mentor until a year ago, and that was the best decision I ever made. Hire the expert in the area that you want to, succeed in.
Yeah, that is a game changer too. I was the same. I never coaches and mentors, but it's the best investment you could ever, because what else, if you could do it on your own, you'd be there. You would have
already done it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So and that's, and I hated to admit it at first to my mentor.
I know.
I would resist so much, and then be like, and he'd look, and that's the mentor I needed, was just looked at me and goes, and how is that working for you?
Yes.
Like, oh, I don't like you.
That's exactly it. How is that working for you?
Exactly. You want somebody that you borderline don't like, because that they're pushing you exactly where you need to be pushed. And that's what RTT does as well, is it allows you to remove that resistance and that little voice that keeps telling you, oh, this is ridiculous, you've always done it this way.
Yes.
I love it. And it's wonderful. And it is a transformation for anybody who's just like, we still don't know what RTT is. That I've had the same thing with my clients, is that lightness. They just feel so relief. They've worked it out themselves. It's not somebody who's telling them what's wrong with them. It's really just, oh, I get it now. And then that's just so freeing. You just feel lighter after, and it's wonderful. You could apply it to anything after that. So that's great. Before we go into like all the work that you do that's coming up, can you, I'd like to ask this question, just because that's part of the podcast, is just to help people make their lives a lot easier. So is there any advice or wisdom that you wish you would have gotten earlier in your life to make your life easier? Something that you'd like to share with us?
Yes. One would be how powerful our minds are, and the power of thought creates our world. And just, I think of my mentor, Kim Calvert, and she has taught me so much. Through my life, I feel like I've kind of had one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake, about thinking positive. I always thought, you have to think positive. But she's gotten me to realize, like, oh my God, there's so much power. I haven't even tapped into half of it in the subconscious, which we know the subconscious with RTT is so powerful.
Yeah.
And if I wished I had known that early on, and then the second thing is keeping the mind calm absolutely is power. I always thought, oh God, no, you want it revved up. That's the only way to do it, is to rev it up.
That's right. That's right.
calmness. Are you kidding? But calmness, as we know, brings a strength and brings, all those powerful ideas to that beautiful white canvas that we're designing
Yeah.
our Epic Encore on, our life on. So those two things I wished I had known, but you know what? I'm glad that I do know them now.
Yeah. That's right. You can pass that wisdom along to people, give them a fair chance to start earlier. But yeah, that inner dialogue is a beast where you don't realize you're just like sabotaging yourself on a daily, and it doesn't necessarily come from you. It's from, a life experiences. So it's amazing. I love that advice. Yeah, it helps a lot. Now, you're busy. How do you find balance between life, work, building your programs, working in your business? How do you find that balance in your life?
You know what? It's actually fairly easy for me, because I've learned, again, through my mentor, Kim Calvert, we work on goals and we set goals and look from the wish fulfilled on the goal. So we look back. And I became so vigilant about the time that I spent on my goal that, it's really organized my life, my head around my time. And also just, it's taught me to enjoy family, enjoy just the things, I was so consumed by 12-hour-a-day job, and you worked in fear, and really, how much work did you get done in fear?
Right.
Whereas now, when I'm doing it from the wish fulfilled, I have this beautiful goal that I'm like, yeah, I'm here, and this is how I feel. And I study every day. I'm constantly studying the mind, constantly studying, all sorts of different books, as I said, Thomas Troward, James Allen, and just reading the same thing over and over. But also I spend the first part of my day setting my day up with rituals, with my gratitudes, with writing about my goal and how I feel in the goal. So in a way, it's almost like I don't feel like I need to balance anymore, because everything is balanced. I mean, and I think it's the non-existence of fear has allowed things to just be.
Yeah.
So I'm not feeling rushed to balance everything. It just is. It is what it is.
It is. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, and that can be scary in itself, to just to surrender and let that go, and just, it is what it is. It's that's amazing. But that is how you find your balance, and a lot of people resist it. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
And also live in the moment. I'm more of a now, living in the now kind of. That has helped tremendously, because I think I used to worry about the past a lot. And, I finally realized it's not something you can change. Like, live in the moment. You can't change the future. You can't change the past.
Yeah.
And it gives you a sense of balance. It just does. It's just natural.
Yeah, it does. I love it. So what's new for you? What are you working on right now that you'd like to share, or, something that's coming up soon?
Well, I'm really putting out, I really want the Epic Encore program to take off and really gain, quite a few new clients in there. So I am working on LinkedIn quite a bit. And I'm going to be probably posting some posts that are really outside the corporate box, if you will. And I'm really targeting my C-suite people and management people to think in a different way it's going to be uncomfortable, because everything, as we know with the mind, if it's not familiar, the mind wants to take you back to the familiar. And it goes beyond, financial thinking. We're going to be dipping into the subconscious and the power of the subconscious, in helping guide, if there are C-suite people out there, or managers that have that voice inside them, and they're working in fear and they want out, but they just don't know how to change their life. I'm going to be posting stuff that hopefully gets them to go, oh, I'm not alone. I am not alone. And man, I am powerful. And as in they are powerful, and I can help them tap into that power and have their Epic Encore. Maybe it's a different type of a job. Maybe it's they start their own company. So it's just really getting myself out there and exposed to folks that are going through what I went through a few years ago and help them, guide them.
Yeah. And there is a need there. I'm going to throw you for a loop for that because I believe it as well, especially in the last 3 years now with everything that's changed in terms of leadership. Things have changed, but people are still trying to go the way that they're used to because that's what we just like to go back to the familiar. But how would you say, how do you find, because you obviously saw the need, especially in the management positions, to have that mind shift, that change that needs to come from within and then bring it out. What would you say, and again, I'm throwing you for a loop there, but how do you see that impacting long-term, how they will manage either work or their lives or anything else?
I mean, we know, working in fear is probably the worst thing for our health.
Yeah.
Like, we see what stress is doing to, people. I mean, I see it in the US, like disease is so high right now. And I don't think enough of us are saying, well, is it because of how I'm stressed at work? Is it because I work in fear? I don't think people realize how much that has caused a lot of the disease in our world, in the world, in the US. So I think some people are, to me, I call it the power of one. All it takes is one person that I can talk to and show them, how their thinking is changing their health and how we can change their thinking to better their health and to better how they're managing, or maybe they want to start their own job, their own business, and just look at how we can help them tap into the power of their mind, tap into that power of the subconscious. Uh-oh, Danielle. There you are. Hi.
I'm so sorry.
You'll be editing.
Yes, there'll be a little edit there. So sorry about that. I just got I got booted off my own Zoom call for some reason. But when it cut off on my end, you were talking about that the impact that fear has to the impact it has on your health and overall health. So I don't know if you want to just repeat that.
Well, I mean, you and I both know, like, I just see, especially in the last year, all we hear about is fear factor kind of news. And that is layoffs here and there. There's going to be tons of layoffs. What sector is going to lay off the most? And that has an impact on people's thinking, whether we believe it or not. It makes them scurry more and probably fear a lot more, be stressed. Therefore, it starts to erode their health. And because I think it's hard, because we don't see it happening, I think it's hard for people to believe that stress can make their body go into disease. But as we know from RTT, the rules of the mind are that the most powerful force in us is our mind is trying to put into action what we're thinking.
Yeah.
So my goal is to teach people, and you'll see it, to teach them about those rules of the mind, get them thinking about that mind, that subconscious mind, and how they can change their life, whether it is setting up their own business now and listening to that voice inside them, or maybe it's pursuing a different purpose, a different type of a job. But it doesn't have to be the end of the world. It can be so much fun. So all I want to say to them is that fear, when it goes away, you just feel the weight of the world has been lifted. And there's just such a solace. And I just want to be there to help people see that if they're ready to take the jump. And it is going to take a leap of faith, but you know what? It's in us. It's in all of us. So,
Yes. And when you're surrounded by people that will support you, that leap of faith is not as scary once you do jump,
yes.
you know, because you know you have a net of people that are there to catch you if you're
Yeah.
free falling. But yeah, it is important, and especially on the manager level, you know, that side of, where they're leading a team, that they can lead by example, that can also help a lot. So I love it. I could
Yeah.
talk to you all day about this. I mean, people who don't know this, we've had pretty much a whole conversation before we started recording about everything that's been going on. But I always like to end the interviews with this one question. I love this question because there's no wrong answer to it. And this little girl was interviewing me for a school project, and she would ask the adults this question and they wouldn't answer, but I did, and she was all happy about it. So I told her I would ask. And especially in our line of work, it's a perfect question. And that question is, what do you want to be when you grow up?
I loved it when you said that to me. And I will say, I'm now realizing I don't want to grow up.
Yeah.
Physically, I am grown up. And I said to myself, I want to maintain that beautiful, carefree mind that a child has, the faith that they have,
Yes.
that everything is going to come to them. And I just think that is so, we lose that. We, you know, and we also say, oh my God, you need to grow up. We're constantly, you know, saying you need to grow up, but no, you know what I'm learning more and more as I tap into the non-fear living. I want to live like a kid. I want to be in their headspace and just have fun, because we take life way too seriously as adults. I think in my culture in America, we take life way too seriously. And I just love how children look at things and go, why can't I have a pony?
That's right.
Of course I can have a pony, you know? And that is the power of our mind. And that's what I want to, you know, try and keep that awareness alive in myself, but also give other people, I'm going to shine my light on that so that others can shine their light to let that freedom come to their mind and let that childlike thinking come to their mind, because they're going to be creating their world. When they're in Epic Encore, I am having them create their world through every single thought they think. And so think like a child.
To think like it is the best thing. It's magical. That's why I love working with children, just because I mentioned that before we started recording, is the RTT process, I find personally, is faster with children because they don't have that restricted, you know, I need to be serious. This doesn't make any sense. This can't work. The kids are open to it. We can talk about monsters under the bed and how there's some good monsters and some bad, and they get it. But you talk to an adult about good stress and bad stress, or excitement and fear, and they're just like, oh, this woman is crazy. And the children go along with it, and it just helps to get those blocks out of the way. I think is what, what we want to be when we grow up, is to not grow up and just be childlike. It's wonderful. I love this. And I could talk to you all day, but if anybody wants to see the work or get more information on Epic Encore and see, you know, on LinkedIn what you're going to be posting soon, how can they reach you or follow you? Could you, I'll add that to the descriptions and the comments below so that they can.
Great. On Instagram, I'm at Epic_Encore. And then on LinkedIn, I'm just at Eunice O'Neill on LinkedIn. And then you can get a lot of detail, and there's free recordings up there if anybody wants to calm the mind a little bit, on my website, which is at www.euniceo'neill.com. And those are the best areas to find me at. Yeah.
That's awesome. And again, I'll add that to the description of the episode so people can have access to those links. And that's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Eunice.
Thank you, Danielle.
It was such a pleasure to reconnect with you and just reminisce a little bit about our training sessions and where it's taking us. And I think it's wonderful. I just love the work that you do. So I'm happy.
I
that
love
you-
what you're doing. I mean,
Oh,
we've come into our lives for a reason, right? Like it's just
exactly at
amazing.
that specific moment, going through similar things and
Yeah.
the stress of going back to school online, all of that
Yeah,
fun stuff. Going, how am I going to do RTT online? So yeah,
exactly.
it's wonderful. Well, thank you
You're
very
so
much.
welcome.
Yeah, it was just really fun to have you on. So I will leave you with that. For anybody
Thank
who,
you.
yeah, it's wonderful. Everybody who is listening, again, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to whichever channel you're listening, and don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to Eunice channels as well. Have a look in the descriptions to find the links. And until then, stay safe, stay awesome, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.